Hi everyone. With the continuance of our previous discussion on simple project management tool, now I will take you through two essential elements of a successful research project, and that is work breakdown structure and the resource mapping, with a special focus on human resource. We will also explore how integrating a work breakdown structure can significantly enhance your ability to plan, allocate, and manage these resources effectively. To ground our learning, we will examine a real-world example from Anumati Cluster Randomized Control Trial, a complex multi-site research project to enhance resilience among older adolescents in urban slum using either an in-person or a social media life skill education intervention. AWBS is a hierarchical breakdown of the project into smaller, manageable, and actionable tasks. It transforms large goals into concrete, actionable steps. It is a method of dividing and conquering large projects to complete them more efficiently and quickly. It is one of the most important project management tool available. The primary objective of work breakdown structure is to guarantee that all essential work and task is included in the project plan, as well as it offers a framework for allocating responsibilities and tracking progress. It serves as an input for three primary project management tool activities. One is the resource planning, second is budgeting, third is the risk management. There are two types of WBS, your work breakdown structure. The first is deliverable based WBS. The second is the phase based work breakdown structure. Today, we will focus on phase based work breakdown structure as the most of the trial run in a phases. Let's take the Anumati project as an example. It is the project is structured into five major phases. The first is approval and recruitment phase. Second is co-design intervention. Third is formative phase. Fourth one is the intervention phase. And fifth is the post-trial phase. Each of these phases includes several key tasks. For example, the first phase, the approval and recruitment, has three main tasks. One is that regulatory approvals. Second is the recruitment of project team. The third is the selection of 102 slum clusters. And we then break these tasks into smaller or a subtask. For example, that under regulatory approvals, we need to take ethics approval, we need to take HMSC, we need to have a CTRI registration. Under the team recruitment, we identify that we need project manager, we need field supervisor, and we need data collectors, come field facilitators. This process of breaking down each task into more detailed, manageable subtasks continue across all phases. After completing the breakdown of the first phase, we move to the second phase, and so on, applying same method to each phase. This structured approach ensures that every part of the project is clearly defined, manageable, and aligned with the overall objective of the project. We will repeat the same process here for phase 3, phase 4, and the phase 5, which is a post-trial phase. Once we finalize the WBS for all phases, it's important to review everything again carefully to check for any gaps or missing pieces. For example, while revisiting the task under the data collection phase, I realized I have missed a crucial task, that is the setting up the database for data collection. It's a crucial step for ensuring smooth and efficient data collection. So this highlights a key takeaways. Carefully reviewing each task helps strengthen the WBS. So the tool like Microsoft Excel, Usage Chart, Draw.ai or WBS Schedule Pro help you to visualize your work breakdown structures which you have prepared in Excel sheet form. This is how your WBS will look like. I have used the Draw.ai application, which is a freely available application. You can download that, the app on your desktop and you can, use it freely. Now, the second task or the key task we must focus is the resource mapping, especially the human resource. The resource planning is often overlooked, but it is absolutely critical. If we do not plan early, we risk overloading a few people, missing essential roles, creating unrealistic workload like here, or a shortage of resources. Every single activity needs the right number of people with the right skills and the right time. And resource mapping helps us to answer these three questions. The first is how many people do we need for that particular task, who will do it, and the time required to execute that assigned work. Now, let's go step by step through the resource mapping sheet. The good news is that you have already done the groundwork in your WBS. The first, we will go back to our WBS Excel sheet and paste our all subtask and task in the left side of the sheet. Then we will add four columns: the number of personnel required, the duration, and other resources. The one is electronic resource and the other resources. Once that's done, you go through each subtask and as a team discuss, decide that how many people are actually needed for that particular task. These numbers must be realistic, workable, and based on the ground realities. Let me give you an example from the Anumati project. Initially, we plan to deploy 3 project supervisors for the 102 slum clusters, about 35 slums per supervisor. But when we started identifying the slum, we realized that the distance between clusters was too great for one person to manage efficiently. So during the resource mapping stage, as a team, we discussed and increased the number of supervisors 3 to 4, as you can see here. This is uh, this is why it's essential to invest time on the WBS. The more accurate your WBS, the stronger your resource plan would be. And a strong resource plan means smoother execution and the better outcome. Let me share you with another important example. So during the proposal phase, we have planned to recruit 100 data collectors for listing, screening, and the baseline survey. But later, during the resource mapping, we reviewed the data from a similar project, the past project, and we looked closely at how many households a person could realistically cover per day. And after recalculating, we realized that we actually need only 70 data collectors to complete the task effectively and within the timeline. So these examples clearly shows what happens when we do not base a resource estimate on actual subtask. Often during proposal writing, numbers are guessed rather than calculated. And that is why we end up with either too or too few or too many people. If you are doing a community trial for the first time, it's crucial to consult with the team who have done similar trials. Their insights can help you arrive at a realistic and a practical number. Yes, this planning process takes time and efforts, but it's absolutely worth it. Investing time at the beginning will save you from the major issues later, like having insufficient staff or unnecessary extra personnel, and both of which can, impact your project. Now we will move to the next column, which is a duration or the time engagement. So here again, we have to go to the each task and mention that how long each person or each task, you know, can be completed. This person can be engaged. So for example, the project managers in Anumati we need for 3 years, supervisor for 2.5 years, and you see the data collectors we need for 6 months. And repeat this for every team member, for every task. This help in tracking availability and the commitment across the project duration. Next, for completing each subtask, we also need some other resources like electronic and other resources. Sit down with your team, brainstorm, and what tool, equipments, or materials you need for to conduct or to run or to implement each task. If needed, involve members from other trial or site teams to make these lists for more practical. And you must include your operations or logistic team in the discussion. So basically, they often know the ground realities and best can help you make your resource plan accurate and workable. If you see that to run the in-person session or to run the intervention co-design interventions, we need two electronic material. One is we need the projectors, we need the pen drive. So for each phase, we need three projectors and three pen drive. And additionally, the other resources we need the stationery we need for the adolescents or for the participants. We need the refreshment to provide the participants, and we also need the drop-in centers to run the sessions. Now that you have finalized the number of people needed and recruited them, the next step is to clearly assign who is responsible for each subtask. To make roles and responsibility even clearer and stronger, we will use a tool called RACI matrix. The RCI model is a quick way to lay out the role, responsibility on your project. It allows you to discuss and communicate and agree upon roles for your project. A RCI matrix is a document that clarifies which individual or a group are responsible for project successful completion, and the role that each will play throughout the project. So RACI R stands for the responsibility or the responsible. So the person who will actually responsible to conduct the task. A refers to accountable, who is ultimately answerable for the task. C stands for consulted, so who needs to be consulted before or during the task. I refers to informed, so who needs to be kept in the loop or to be informed about the task. There are many free templates available online for creating a RACI matrix. This is one of the example of how it can look like. To use it effectively, we need to follow a clear 7-step process, and let me take you through these steps one by one. The first step is the listing all the activities or the tasks in the left hand side of the chart, which we have already done during the WBS or work breakdown structure. So each row represents a separate activities. The second step is to identify all the key roles and the people involved in the project, which is already we have completed during our resource mapping or resource allocation. So these are listed across the top of the chart and each column representing a different person or a role. So the step 3, now for each activity, we have to fill the cell with R, A, C or I, so indicating who is responsible for this task, who is accountable for this task, who will be consulted for this task, and who will be informed for this task. The step 4, make sure that each activity has only 1 hour. Only one person should be responsible. If any activity has more than 1 hour, that is called overlap. For example, you can see here, and it can lead to confusion. If there are no R at all in any of the row, that means there is a gap, which meaning is no one is clearly responsible for that particular task. So here the 5 steps comes in. So we need to review the metrics to resolve these gaps or the overlap. And this often can be can be done by re-examining the activities and clarifying the role expectations. So if you look at the closely on the identification stakeholder for qualitative data, this task is for each localities. And under the Anumati project, we have 51 localities per sites. So each supervisors are responsible for 25 localities. So we have to further break this into 2 rows. One could be the identification stakeholders for qualitative data in 25 localities. Another row could be the identification stakeholder for qualitative data in 26 localities. And we need to assign for these localities. So first row we can assign Vinay and second row we can assign Suraj. Once we add it in the sheet here, we need to do a final cross check to ensure that changes have not unintentionally affected any other parts of the matrix. The seventh step is finally make sure that everyone involved and agree with the final RAC matrix or RACI assignment, as the consensus is the key to ensure the clarity and the ownership.